Alright, so this video I've been wanting to make for a minute now, and I'm going to make it. I'm going to start off right off the bat saying Forsaken wasn't that as big as everyone made it out to be. Now hold your horses. I know everyone's going to be upset saying, oh, Forsaken changed the game and stuff. Hear me out. That's not entirely true. Forsaken was good for the game, 100%. No BS, I agree with that completely. Forsaken was really good for the game. But now hear me out. So this is how it works, right? This is how it worked. Destiny 2 was dying basically right away. It was really good, but it was definitely having issues. Then came out Curse of Osiris. It completely splattered on the ground and never came back, basically. So Osiris was the worst. Warmind came out, and that started the return of players. Because they did changes, they did some great changes, and that happened, right? Then came Forsaken, which added all the good changes. All of them. But technically speaking, Forsaken wasn't that great. So let's just mark off the first step of this. The things that should have been in the game from day one, they added to in Forsaken. Those should have been in there day one. That's just fact. No matter what, that's the truth to it. Some of the things they added for Forsaken, we're going to mark those off the list. Those, which is random rolls on crack and stuff, and different things like that, and different weapons, and certain ways to obtain weapons. Some of that stuff should have been day one. It should have been no matter what. We're not counting that. That's not part of Forsaken. Now let's talk about Forsaken. In my opinion, I think in most people's opinion, Forsaken ended the moment after we defeated the Riven's Eye, or whatever it was, the big meatball. And yes, it was happening in the Dreaming City, I believe, or at least part of it, or some, or piece that came from it, whatever, I don't remember exactly. But it wasn't part of the Dreaming City, in a sense. It was only part of the Forsaken. When we completed all that, that was it. The campaign was great, but that was it. It ended there. There was no end game. Then, surprise, surprise, Dreaming City appeared out of thin air. No one expected it. It was not, as far as I know, it wasn't really leaked. I believe there were some leaks, but they never were really detailed about exactly what it was. But most of the community had no clue about it and was super excited when Dreaming City came out. Because, yes, it came out right away, but no one expected it. And then we got a raid, we got a dungeon, we got these, what are they called? Shattered Realms or whatever, where you could farm every week. Where there was one... Every week there was a new one for 6 weeks. There was a curse cycle of 3 weeks once Riven was defeated. Like, there was a whole bunch of stuff going on. Now, personally, I think that's basically like the season. I know at this time there wasn't seasons with the DLC launches, and they're taking that idea away again. But I feel like that's what really started the seasonal thing. The Dreaming City was like the season that went with the DLC. And I know a lot of people are going to have debate that and be upset about that. But Forsaken on its own, up to the end when we killed the meatball, was pretty damn trash afterwards. There was nothing really to go do on the on the Tangled Shore. Nobody went there, other than just messing around publicly or whatever, but like there was no objectives really. Yes, yes there were strikes, yes there were nightfalls, but those don't count towards the thing because they're separate from it. As a whole, there was no endgame on the Tangled Shore, which in my opinion was Forsaken. The Dreaming City was a separate entity entirely that came with it. It was a bonus. A great bonus, mind you. One of the best bonuses. I think Dreaming City was probably the best thing they've ever added. But when you talk to people that talk about Forsaken, they either talk purely about the campaign or they talk about the Dreaming City. And in my opinion, they're both separate. And I think most people can agree with that if they stop and think. It felt like basically like a seasonal content that they added on top of Forsaken. Forsaken campaigns was great. I loved the campaign. Don't get me wrong. But in my opinion, there was no end game. Forsaken was not that great. Now, when they added the Dreaming City with it, that is what brought in the spice. It brought in cool activities, new things, new ideals for stuff. It brought secrets all over the place. Like, the Dreaming City was awesome. But the Tangled Shore sucked. It beyond sucked. There was really nothing to do. The weapons, you could do some things to farm, but most of those weapons, nobody farmed or knew how to farm worth of crap. Because just there wasn't nothing to do. It felt boring. It felt like there was no point being there. But the Dreaming City, that is what we want in the final shape, in my opinion, because we want there to be, okay, we do the campaign in one area, and then we have this big-ass area, secrets, crazy stuff all over the place we go to and find that we didn't expect or something. That's what I think should be the final shape, is that the Dreaming City with the campaign of the Forsaken up to the Dreaming City point, the Dreaming City be our playground of finding new stuff and doing new things. There was tons of stuff to do in the Dreaming City, and it lasted quite a bit before people got bored. It wasn't just one weekend and we're done. It lasted a bit. So there was tons of stuff to do. A 6-week cycle of changing stuff, bringing new stuff to do, new secrets throughout the whole thing every time. And I think that is the key. People say they want to be good as Forsaken, but in my opinion, Forsaken was okay. Campaign, great. Everything else sucked. The Dreaming City, though, I feel was separate from Forsaken, like I keep saying, and like I think most people could agree, like I said. Dreaming City was spot on what the game needed, and I believe that's what Final Shape needs, except it needs it bigger and bolder, because that was like a middle line in between everything, where to save the game, where this needs to save the game and make the saga end in a beautiful, spectacular way, and bring up a new saga, because in reality, people aren't realizing, not only is Final Shape the ending, it's also the beginning, because that next DLC after will be the beginning, but the year leading up to the next DLC is going to edge you into the new series, the new saga. So if that doesn't rock, if this year doesn't rock, even slightly, it's going to fail miserably, no matter how good Final Shape does. And then and again, Forsaken brought new supers and stuff. And yes, I agree that part was good, and that came with the Forsaken side of it, the Tangled Shore and all. Those were great, those were fun. And I agree with that. All that was cool. It's just I'm looking at this purely on the in-game level. There was nothing to do in Forsaken worth a crap. The Dreaming City after Forsaken campaign ended, which, by the way, was two separate things. It was two separate things when you unlocked the Dreaming City. It was two different quest lines. It wasn't Forsaken quest line. It was another quest line. I think it might have had the Forsaken symbol on it, but it didn't say the Forsaken campaign. So, in my opinion, it was separate from all of that. I'm still not sure exactly. I don't remember. It was a long time ago. I know I could look up some of it to make sure, but as a whole, it always felt separate. So personally, when people say they want Forsaken level, I don't think that's really that big, other than the supers. The supers was like the biggest thing that was brought to it. And yes, the Dreaming City brought a lot, and we want that level again. But we don't want Forsaken level, because Forsaken is just a Tangled Shore. And I don't think anyone just wants that, because yes, the campaign was good, but everything else sucked. And I think that's the line that people keep missing and messing up. And if they would re-avert what they were saying, I think Bungie might actually get it. And sadly, I don't think Bungie's getting it because of what they listed and how they listed it, and then what they say they're going to give us and what they should give us is two different things. And that's where the line is happening, is they're seeing the Forsaken campaign and only the Forsaken campaign because we keep saying Forsaken. Because I think in their eyes it's also separate. And I know most people are like, oh no, they built it together. Not really, because everything was laid out separately. Once you complete the Forsaken campaign and stuff on the Forsaken, you were instantly sent to the Dreaming City. Yes, there was a quest line and stuff, but it was separate. You had to do some stuff, yes, and I know that, I'm aware of that, but it felt completely separate. You went from one universe to another universe. There was a very big divided line. Even though they were both in the Tangled Shore, technically, there was a big divided line between the two when you went from one end to the other. So in my opinion, that's how it is. I think people need to be saying, we want Dreaming City level content. We want Forsaken campaign, Dreaming City content, Witch Queen storytelling, though. Because Forsaken campaign was good, but its storytelling was kind of like, I don't know, Shadowkeep's in a sense. Shadowkeep had a decent campaign, it's just the storytelling was kind of eh. And it was fun, yes, Forsaken was fun, but the story versus the campaign, I don't know, it felt off. I don't know how to explain it, just I remember it feeling a bit off. It was fun, but it was like, it felt like there was always something missing. Whereas Witch Queen filled in the gaps, threw the curveballs, threw the ups and downs, and you're like, what the fuck? And the campaign felt amazing on top of the story. I think we need that with the Dreaming City level of entertainment, of loot, of finding stuff, secrets, tons of stuff, plus obviously the other crafting system, plus all the other, but it needs to have all this, and then it needs to end in a way that pushes us to the new saga, or at least to the next chapter, which then will go progress to the next DLC, which I assume the big DLC that comes up afterwards, if there's going to be one, I assume that is going to be the official starting point of the new saga, and the thing in between is what leads up to the new saga beginning. I assume that's the way they're going. I remember they said something about how they're looking at it, which I think is basically the same line, so yeah. Just wanted to make a short video, short-ish, and that's my opinion on it. Forsaken wasn't that great, Dreaming City was all of it. I know people won't agree, and I know people might somewhat agree, I don't know. Just letting you say, if you liked it, like and subscribe, leave a comment what you think, I don't mind. Thank you. Have a good day.